Good afternoon. How are you today? Well, it's a little chilly, but it's nice, and we missed the sun today. It's overcast. So, in the category of, people always ask me how Holly is doing. Holly is doing well, but, we get these reports from time to time. So now we have to go through a series of tests to find out if we should be concerned about the possibility of fungal material in her lungs. And so we'll have to go for a test for that. And I say this not to alarm anyone, but I always feel uncomfortable saying she's better, which she is. But I have a superstition that if I say she's better, then something will happen. And in the first year in particular, when defending against infections and rejection, the concern is that you'll end up with at least one hospital stay to defend against those things happening. So that's that. And today I was in court like a real lawyer. I've been doing court appearances remotely, and this is my second court appearance, and I wore a mask and at a distance, and the judge welcomed me to the courtroom. He was very nice. I told him that I always thought he had a judicial temperament, meaning that he was meant to be on the bench. So, and I was with some really terrific lawyers today, good arguments, which doesn't always favor your client, but we prevailed. And I should say, when I say we, the lead counsel on this, who's had this case longer, he made the argument, and it should have been a slam dunk, but until it happens, you never know. In the category of sad to hear, and I believe this is true, I've seen it in reliable places, you never know when they talk about celebrities. Jerry Lee Lewis, at 87, is no longer with us. Great balls of fire. Great balls of fire. That's what I think of when I think of him. What a fabulous entertainer for so many years, captured seasons of our life. And so it's going to happen to every one of us. But as people enter that mist, they leave behind this pleasure and happiness and respect for who they were when they were with us. So rest in peace. In Twitter, going someplace else, doesn't it make sense that Trump would think it was terrific that Musk was in charge of Twitter? It remains to be seen what his policies will be, but we can guess some of them, including letting Trump back online. And people are talking about leaving Twitter. I haven't seen what he's going to do yet. Obviously, he's firing people. But if Trump was on Twitter, you have to think of him as being exposed in a way. And I think if every one of us who are on Twitter daily put an objection to who he is and what he exists, to his anti-Semitism, to his crass bullying, I wonder how he would handle all of that. He's used to people being against him. Well, let's give him something against him to talk about. In the category of taking credit for something they didn't do, I don't know if you ever saw the movie Django Unchained. And when it first came out, it was very uncomfortable because they used the N-word freely. And I sort of remember it as a strong incantation, if you will. And now, Ye, or what is it, Kanye West, is trying to take credit for the idea, saying that it was he, not Tarantino, the director. And Tarantino says, well, he had an idea, it wasn't this one, and this is all my idea. So it shouldn't surprise us, of course. It's kind of interesting to hear Congressman Ryan say that if Trump is our nominee, we lose. Well, he may be. In the category of the expected violence that comes from the kind of language that Trump and his people use all the time without caution, that compromise the safety of many people, there was a guy who's in his 40s who went to the San Francisco home of Nancy and Paul Pelosi. Now, Nancy was in D.C. with her team protecting her when this guy Paul came with a hammer to the door, and he was asking where Nancy was. And Paul ended up defending himself, and he got hurt, and he went to the hospital, but they say he should be okay. the husband of the speaker doesn't get any protection, so that's part of the problem here. I don't know that it should normally, but maybe now it has to. And they have the person in custody and they're prosecuting him. But this is what it's become. Friends and family are at risk because we have these maniacs inviting violence from people with crosshairs on their websites and the kind of language about you got to get them, and power to the people. And I do believe in power to the people, by the way, but I also believe that there's a system of government we have that doesn't always meet the situation, and that's why we have First Amendment protest and so forth. But we don't assume that a crowd should take over the Capitol, or that the husband of the speaker should be assaulted in his own home. I've been in that home. It's a fabulous place. They've had it, I think, since the 80s. And so it's no secret, in other words. And that's the problem. It's one thing to protest outside the house of anyone. It's quite another to come in with a hammer to assail the speaker, third in line. That's just wrong. So that's what happened there. And I don't know if you want to take it as a symbol, but Mars is being hit by meteors. Something new. But we're being reassured by NASA and everybody else that that's not going to happen here. Well, for one thing, Mars doesn't have an atmosphere. Not one that causes meteors to burn up or to burn up completely. As a kid, I told friends that if they put out sponges, that they would attract the tiny remaining pieces of meteors. And I don't know. I didn't have bright friends, some of them anyhow. So, where are we? We're in the same place. Our direction is clear. Our direction is vote, get others to vote, talk on behalf of candidates we care about, talk against every R that's running for office. I don't care if they're your brother or your sister. And there are families that have been recoiling from their own blood, talking against people who are running for office because they think they're such terrors, and they would cause such disturbances in what should be a government that works well. And if we're ever to get to a place where there are the problems in society that we're all addressing, and we have some assurance that they're being addressed intelligently, then we can be thinking about, as a community rather than individually, of the arts, of helping people, of doing what's right and just, on improving the organism that is a government, so that it really is fair and just, and not an embarrassment, and not a place of uncertainty and chaos. So, here we are in our cathedral of trees, and I hope again to see you tomorrow, and I hope there's still leaves on the tree. Bye-bye.